The movie showcases Dek, a young outcast predator arriving at a cave to meet his brother Quay. The brothers engaged in battle as Dek was extremely smaller than an average predator and wanted to prove that he had what it takes to partake in his first hunt. Nevertheless, he was defeated, and as he wouldn't yield, he was sent falling. Dek happened to survive, and as his brother couldn't kill him, Quay planned to redeem him by showing him various planets to hunt. He showed him one in particular, Jenna, a dead planet where the unkillable Kalisk resides. Even though their father fears the beast, Dek decided that was his destination as he wanted to prove to everyone that he was worthy. Their father arrived at that moment angry on hearing that Dek wanted to partake in his first hunt. Fearing that Dek might bring dishonor to them, he restrained Dek and ordered his brother to kill him. Quay brought out his sword, but couldn't kill his brother as he freed Dek from his restraint and sent him to his ship. Quay battled his father as his father saw what Quay did as a sign of weakness, and as he was far stronger than his son, he was able to defeat him. Just before Quay was decapitated by his father, he activated Dek's ship as it began heading to Jenna. The ship on the way began malfunctioning, but was still able to crash land in Jenna, in the woods. Dex, wanting to honor his brother, began assembling his weapons to kill the beast when he heard a sound, and, in a moment, he was attacked. The creature seems to be part of the woods as it attacked him from every direction, but he was able to free himself and made it out of the creature's reach. He applied some herbs and continued moving. He soon arrived at a field filled with poison spikes. There he spotted Thia, who called out to him as she was trapped in a nest around the area. There was a flying beast hovering as Thia was able to speak with Dek in his language, warning him that the spike could paralyze him and offered that he free her. Dek wanted to hunt alone, but as the creature threw a large rock activating the spike, Dek was affected and about to be paralyzed when he threw a blade at Thia to free herself. Dek was paralyzed and became prey to the flying beast now, but Thia was able to ambush and kill it right on time. Thia applied an antidote, and he was back to normal. Dek lifted her and realized she has no limbs as she explained to him that she was a synthetic, as the humans who created her would never have survived a day in this planet. She knew he was there to hunt the great Kalisk as she told him that many of his kind had tried and failed. She offered to be his tool and guide him as she has seen the beast and survived. He agreed and took her with him. He tied her on his back and continued on his way. They camped at a cave at night as Dek asks how long she had been in Jenna, as she stated they arrived 2 years ago and built a base, but she had been trapped in the vulture's nest for 13 days. Thia told Dek of her sis Tessa, as they were far more self-aware than other synthetics who arrived with them, making them interact with some creatures on this planet. They were attacked by the great Kalisk, and that was how she lost her limbs and was separated from Tessa. Tessa was also hurt, but was taken to their base in Jenna and placed in an AI system to begin her restoration process. The system, while restoring her, scanned the planet and realized that another yautja had arrived which could hinder the company's progress. Tessa awakened, but all she could think about was Thia as the system informed her that the yautja has her. At dawn, Dek continued moving with Thia as he spotted a large creature and hid, and tried moving through the grasses, but couldn't because of the sharp edges as Thia informed him that they were razor grass. They encountered a primate-like creature who could glide through the glass. Dex, determined to cross, climbed a large tree and hopped on one of the moving creatures. Dex was able to slay it, and soon after they were attacked by another creature and was almost eaten when the primate came to their aid, but Dek eventually slayed it too. Meanwhile, Tessa and her synthetic army had begun moving to find the yautja and Thia as they took on a creature on their way and were able to defeat it. They camped at night, and this time the primate was with them as Thia named him Bot. They discussed Dek's clan as Dek stated his brother was killed by his father, so he wanted to prove now that his clan had no weakness if he killed the Kalisk. Meanwhile, Tessa and other synthetics arrived at Dek's ship crash site as Tessa got in to have a look around. It was sunrise as Dek decided to leave with Thia. Thia didn't want Dek to leave Bot behind, but Dek reminded her that he hunts alone and to him. She was just a tool. They stopped by a river to wash off as Dek found what seems to be Kalisk tooth, and figured the Kalisk drinks there as he asks Thia about it, but she refused to answer because she wasn't thrilled with the way Bot was left behind. Thia asks him why his brother was killed as he stated his brother died protecting him, and to his father was a sign of weakness, so he plans to kill the Kalisk, thus eliminating all weakness. Thia used an illustration of a wolf pack and how its alpha protects the pack. They arrived at the Kalisk den as Dek spotted the bodies of her synthetic team lying around. She spotted her legs as she was taken to her camp near the den, where she began fixing her legs. There she informed Dek that he had to leave. She stated she had called her sis, Tessa, and her team, who were already on their way there. It turns out their company also wanted to capture the Kalisk as she warned him that he can't kill the Kalisk. Dek felt used as Thia brought him there, so she could get her leg fixed. He wouldn't yield as he went out and lit a fire, bringing the Kalisk to him. The Kalisk was majestic as it arrived, and they began to fight. Dek was swift as he dodged all attacks, struck the Kalisk, and was able to cut its tail off. Dek was in shock as the Kalisk was able to regenerate its tail and struck Dek, sending him flying to the camp. Thia was halting her from reattaching her legs. Thia shot the Kalisk, but it didn't budge, and she was at its mercy when Dek came to her aid and began taking on the monster and dodging some of its attacks. Dek beheaded the Kalisk, but to its greatest surprise, the Kalisk reattached its head and pinned Dek. Dek was now at its mercy when Tessa arrived with her team, as she threw a device which freezes both the Kalisk and Dek together. Dek was captured, and when he woke up, he was restrained and spotted Tessa. Tessa wondered why he was alive in the first place, as the yautja always curbed their weak, so she harnessed Dek memories and was able to find out why. Tessa reboots Thia's system, and she awoke. Tessa informed her that Kalisk has been captured, and they also captured another specimen to exploit. Thia tried to convince her that the yautja saved her just as Tessa did earlier, but Tessa figured that she made a mistake saving her just like the yautja brother. Tessa wanted to obtain some samples to study it, and activated the device as Dek was in a lot of pain, but Thia deactivated it. Tessa then ordered some of her synthetic soldiers to study the yautja weapons as she left. Thia deceived one of the synthetics as it blew its head off. Tessa rushed to the scene, but Dek had already escaped from the vehicle by then. Dek jumped off as he fell deep into the woods. He spotted his ship and got in. There, he thought about his brother, and the memory haunted him. He found his brother's mask and thought of his brother as a wolf alpha because he protected him. Getting out of the ship, he spotted Bot, and soon realized Bot was the Kalisk child and accepted him as part of his clan. Dek was determined now to honor his brother and save Thia, as he dressed up in full armor and activated Thia's legs as it began leading them to where the synthetic army is. Thia was caged in a large box when Dek and Bot arrived and ambushed the synthetic army, taking them out one after the other. Thia's legs were able to find her and took out one soldier, freeing her from the box, but more soldiers arrived and together they took out the soldiers. Meanwhile, Tessa spoke with her AI mother, who applauded her for capturing the Kalisk and asked for the status of the yautja. Tessa didn't want to say it escaped, so she said it was dead, so the AI mother no longer considered it a threat. Dek made his way to where Thia was, but was ambushed from behind. Luckily, Thia killed the soldier. Thia was excited because he came to rescue her, and stated that they leave before more soldiers arrive, but Dek brought Bot along and told her that Bot was the Kalisk child, so they have to rescue the Bot together. They hatched a plan as Thia and Bot jobs were to free the Kalisk, while Dek takes on the synthetic soldiers. The alarms rang, signaling their presence, as Dek was able to gather all the synthetic soldiers in one spot and eliminated all at once except for Tessa, who armors herself with a mech suit and takes on Dek. It was a really tough battle for Dek, as no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't penetrate her armor. At the time, Thia and Bot had already freed the Kalisk as it attacked and was ripping the armor apart. Tessa tried using the ice device again, but Dek intercepted it as the Kalisk was able to penetrate the mech suit and eliminated her. The Kalisk was reunited with her child and accepted them as part of her clan. The reunion was cut short as the Kalisk exploded, sending them all flying. It turns out Tessa survived the attack and killed the Kalisk. Tessa confronted her sis Thia for her betrayal and was about eliminating her, but Dek ambushed Tessa from behind and killed her, this time for good. Dek returned back to his planet and informed his dad that he had completed his hunt, but his dad still saw him as a disgrace and ordered the soldiers to attack him, but Dek was experienced now as he moved swiftly, eliminating them all. Dek fought with his father fiercely, and after a fierce battle, Dek defeated his father and restrained him. His father this time was ready to accept him as part of their clan if he yielded, but he informed his dad that he has his own clan now, as Bot, who was all grown now, eliminated his father. Thia was also there as they saw a large number of ships heading their way. Dek informed them that it was his mother. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.